Hey guys, just imagine you sitting on this computer and you draft an email and you press the button send. Email is gone. It has disappeared from your screen and you can see it in your sent items. But how is the communication happening from this point to the point where somebody's received an email? How the data is moving into these physical cables, Wi-Fi, and reaching out to switches? How is it working? I'm just going to try to explain how it works. But to understand this, you need to understand the OSI model, which is a conceptual framework which defines how communication is going to happen between the 2 points over an IP network. Okay, so let me break it down for you. So you got this computer and you physically plug it into a network port nearby, which is this one. It looks like this, and you've got Ethernet cable going into the back of this computer. And this port is physically mapped into the patch panel, which we see in the offices, like in the comms room, or it can go straight to the switch as well. The same thing, but it's just to make things easier. In the office, you've got comms room, and all the cables come into the patch panel, and from there is connected to like different network devices. So the minute you physically plug in the cable to a network port, if you come back to this model, the physical layer of this concept is now completed, as in physically you're connected and it falls under this layer, which is the last layer. You must be wondering why I started from the bottom, not from the top, but I will come back to it in a minute. Okay, the patch panel, physically you plug it into the switch. The minute you plug it into the switch can see this device and it makes a note of its machine address or the MAC address. And the minute that completes, it falls under data link layer, as in the data is established between the 2 points. But no communication has happened yet. I'm just trying to explain the layers so you get this picture how data is moving. Okay, then you have got something called DHCP server connected to the switch as well. Let's assume this is the DHCP server. So the minute you plug your machine in and is going to the DHCP, your machine is broadcasting the request, like discovering and looking for an IP address from the DHCP. DHCP says, okay, I'll give you the IP address, and it tells your machine where the gateway is, like how to get out to the internet. In our houses, we don't really have servers, but in offices we do have servers sometimes. But sometimes DHCP server is here into this router, so don't get confused about this. So wherever the DHCP is, you can only have one DHCP server on a network, by the way. So wherever the DHCP is, it's giving you the IP address. Now the network layer is completed. Okay, so 3 layers for the network, they're now completed. Let's start again. I'm going to start, so we cover these 3 layers. Now I'm going to start from the top. So when you draft an email in Outlook, or if you go to your browser and type in www.something, that end user input in an application, that falls under application layer. So the minute you say, okay, I'm going to send this email out, email is using a protocol, which we know SMTP, that falls under, or if you go to a web page, you use HTTP, it falls under application layer. Then this data moves on to the next layer, which is a presentation layer. So all the compression, encryption happens here within the app, and it's still a data. It hasn't moved to the next level yet. And once that's done, it goes to the next layer, which is responsible for end-to-end session. As in when you go to a web page and halfway through it's loading up and it's not loading and then it starts again. This session layer is responsible for that. And after that, this data goes to the next layer, which is a transport layer, which is responsible to transport the data from one point to another. And it converts this data into a segment. Okay, now we come down to the layers we explained already. This segment goes to the IP network layer and it becomes a packet. And then the packet becomes a frame, and the frame becomes all the ones and zeros which come out physically into the cable, or it could be a Wi-Fi ones and zeros. All the binary data comes out from the machine That's happening here. So this is how communication happens. But this is like you sending at the minute. Now imagine somebody received the data. Now you receive the data and email back from someone. So it's going to go through the same process, but in a reverse order. As in physically, you're going to receive bits 1s and 0s. Then it will go to the next layer, the next layer, next layer. And along the way, doesn't matter which way, if it's going down, as in you sending out something, all these layers, they attach header like into the data or the frame or the packet. So when the data is received back, it goes into the reverse order and the header comes off. So it reaches physical layer, header comes off, it goes to the next layer, header comes off. So this way, this communication is happening. Hope it makes sense.